The session began with the rumblings of an earthquake. The party was guarding a caravan. I told this before. They were going to be guarding a caravan and traveling through the Badlands, and there was an earthquake. Now, the Badlands are kind of just, imagine, like, no grass, no changes in elevation. It's basically West Texas, only more dirt and less sand. This is what happens when you let demons loose on the world of Kakarot for 200 years. So they're traveling through and there's an earthquake and they continue, and then there's a crevice in front of them, so they have to move around that. They're heading toward the town of Midgel's Fountain. It's kind of this isolated farming hamlet that somehow survived. So they approached the fields, and there's a watchtower built, and a woman, a middle-aged Dugatharian woman, and Dugatharians are kind of like short, a little bit like halflings, but like short, rounded eyes, no like squishing in as they go, just like rounded eyes, lots of hair, like big beards and things like that. So this Dugatharian woman walks up to them and got a big heavy crossbow. She's like, "What do you want? Why are you here?" Like pointing the crossbow at them. She's sort of the guard of the place. And so they were trying to parley with her, and it was not being successful. And then a little girl runs up to the woman and says, "Mindy, the water's dried up." Mindy, the woman, looks down and is like, "What? Like gone? Like not just there in poison, but gone?" And so Bustard, the boss of the caravan, walks up and says, "Well, you seem to be out of water. I believe we have some barrels of water that we might be able to sell to you." That got Mindy's attention, and so she let him in to, give them water, because they're isolated. There's the well is the only water around. So while Dulstard negotiated the prices, Aoth and Albertus went over to the well and kind of made a perception check, looked in to the well, and they saw something bat-like fly through. It's like you got the well, and then there appears to be this cave underneath. It's a bat-like wings fly underneath the well. So Albertus takes his grappling hook and jams it into the mortar of the brick and mortar well and starts climbing down. So down in the well are an imp and a death dog. So an imp is kind of this bat-like tiny creature. There's a picture of it in the back of the player's handbook if you're interested. And a death dog is like this two-headed, slobbering, black dog-like thing. Aoth, as soon as he hears that something's going on, he jumps down the well, makes a good athletics check, and is able to kind of slow his fall with the rope, and it's initiative. They start fighting, and when it's player 3's turn, when it's Phoenix's turn, he goes and runs to Dulstard. And I'm worried because, one, Dulstard isn't a fighter. He has a sword, but he's not good with it. That's why he hired the guards in the first place. And two, there are only two characters in the well with these. They're fairly powerful for a fight between two first-level characters. But my fears were assuaged when Phoenix went over to Dulstard, and he asked, "Hey, there's combat down in the well. Are you okay with us doing that?" And Dulstard was like, "Sure, go ahead. Don't kill yourself. I need you to guard my caravan, but don't knock yourself out." Meanwhile, there are two people down in the well for 2 rounds, fighting 2 CR1 monsters. They're holding up their own pretty well, and Aoth manages to actually slice the imp out of the air, but you got a paladin and you got a bard, and the death dog is able to maneuver so his heads bite both of them at the same time. So one of the dog's head in particular was dripping, slobbering, and so that one bit Aoth, and I had him made a con save. He succeeded, and the fight continued. Phoenix jumped into the well, the battle turned. Even though the death dog had knocked Aoth and Albertus to just a couple hit points, like, if it had gone one more round without Phoenix, one of them would have died. Or, at the very least, gotten knocked unconscious. Aoth got the killing blow, splitting the dog between the heads, and that was over. Phoenix saw there was a basin in the one corner of the room and went to investigate. He made a perception check, and there was a flask, like, melded into the ceiling. And so he used his Wonder Walk, part of his shinobi class, and ran up the wall and grabbed onto it, and it was filled with dirt. So he took out a stick and kind of pulled out the dirt and scraped it out, and water started dripping out of it, Sometimes it was a stream, sometimes it was just, a trickle, but that was it, and he walked out. And that was pretty much it for the session. The characters went over, had some food from the caravan, because that's where they get their food. And there's no inn, so there's that. Dulcet complimented them on fixing the well, because that's what they did by pulling the dirt out of the water. It was actually a decanter of endless water. That's how Midgel's Fountain gets its water and also gets its name. So Dulcet was really excited because sales are really good, because they just saved these people. So we had good character lessons, we had good combat, which I really liked, and we had just a general feeling like this was a good start to a campaign. So, now let's go to the DM section, where I'm going to talk about things that happen behind the scenes. Players and people who are just here for the story, I'd advise, pause the video now, go watch something else, because there might be spoilers. So I designed this counter to be really hard. This was CR1. These are 2 CR1 monsters, which is going to be pretty challenging for first level characters. And in addition, the Death Dog had quite a few hit points, and he had a disease thing. I'm not sure what it was called, but the Death Dog if you fail your con save, you start losing hit points. Like, I roll a d10 and you subtract those hit points from your hit point maximum every day. I kind of wanted the disease to occur because if they'd had to deal with the disease, 1, lasting effects, which are always scary, and 2, it's scary. Because I wanted to give them the sense that this is not like an easy campaign. I kind of pitched it as originally, but I wanted to say, like, fiends are deadly, alright? You can get messed up if you deal with them. However, we're playing with a paladin, and I kind of wanted a paladin in the group, but I just remembered it during the combat that paladins lay on hands also allows them to cure diseases. So it would have been just like a aha moment, like, oh, I just lost a bunch of hit points overnight. Hey, paladin, heal me. Boom. Tension over. So I wasn't really mad when the Death Dog didn't get to use that ability. However, I will say I will have to keep my eye on that lay on hands ability. And I want to say I expected them to not find the decanter of endless water, or maybe try to steal it. The first one would have been okay. The villagers would have said, alright, let's go down and investigate. There's the water. Ah, that's why we haven't gotten any water. It's stopped up. That would have been okay. The second thing, if they'd stolen the decanter, well, as a result, Midgel's Fountain would have left. I'm not sure whether there would have been a resentment to the players or not, but there would have been lasting consequences if they'd taken that. So I'm glad that they didn't. Otherwise, this is a really, really great start to the campaign, and I'm so excited for what's coming next.